Hello, welcome. We are working on signature number 4. I've got it laid out. So let's get right to it. This is what I used for my base page. This is the reverse. This is going to measure 8 1/4 inches across by 8 5/8 in the height. Now I'm making a pocket that's going to go on the left-hand side because I'm going to do some build-ups on the right. So the pocket width is 1 3/4 inches by the height of your base, so it's going to be 8 7/8. I already put my tape on and I started to put this down and realized I wasn't doing the video yet. So just snip that right there. Okay, now this is what I'm using. It's going to be used on a couple of pockets. And I do believe this is possibly from, I apologize. I'm having a little bit of a blood sugar issue. I've already taken care of it. It just hasn't adjusted yet. So let me just do this. I'm going to put this down. This is what I'm using. I think this came out of my scraps. Again, I apologize. Yes, this came out of scraps. We had cut into it previously. And I would stop and start this video again, but it will be like the 4th time, so I'm just going to deal with it. Put this down. Now, I'm still using this beautiful piece of trim, but this time I cut it a little short. I've backed it onto some blue cardstock, and I wanted to create a little different look by not going full length. So I'm going to cut it in half, cut it short, about 2 inches short. So there's an inch here and an inch here. And then I'm cut out this saying to add, it fits, but it also adds a little bit of brightness to this piece. So let's get this on here. Be about an inch. Top to bottom, close enough. And then I'm going to just set this in here. Okay. That's done. We're going to go to the left side because it has fewer working parts, and it's also going to be our magnet page. So this piece here is going to measure in at 6 3/4 inches. So 6 3/4 by your 8 5/8 for the height. And then you're going to score over here at a 1/2 inch and then at 5/8 of an inch. I'll get there. And then I want this hinge on top, so we're going to line this up to the 1/2 inch score line. And then that puts this hinge on top of the base page. Now over here, we're going to have a lot of working parts on the right hand side. So let's start first with the big one. This is going to measure in at 6 3/4 inches across. By your 8 7/8, you're going to have a 1/2 inch score, and you're going to have a 5/8 of an inch score. And again, we're going to line this up to the 1/2 inch score line so that the hinge, the gusset that we created, whatever you want to call it, sits on top of our base page. Now, I've got a magnet I need to set, but wait a minute, I think I'm okay because it's going to be on the top part. Yep, we're going to do that way. Okay. A little dab of glue. Make sure that everything is lined up, that this is squared up, and that your hinges are straight. And then we'll press on that, and it will mark. Oh, look at that. It actually stayed there with the glue. I'm impressed. I don't know what I did, but I'm impressed. All right, now we can start playing here on the inside. We are going to have a panel that is going to mount just right along that 5/8 score line, and you'll put it so that it's even top and bottom. This is going to measure 6 1/4 inches across by 5 3/4 tall, and then you're going to do a 1/2 inch score. And then I'm going to just set this just in front of that 5/8 score line. And then we're going to have a smaller little fold out. This is going to be 3 3/4 inches across by 5 1/8 with a 1/2 inch score, and this is going to sit here. I rounded these corners so it will help also kind of give me a guide when I center this in here. It's hard to see the blue on the dark. Close enough. So this will be closed up over here on this side, and then it will open out. All right. So that's so far all of our moving parts. Let's go ahead and cover this. This is the pattern piece that I'm using. It is the reverse side to our base page, and I am going to glue it in place. Again, I've rounded the corners. And I'm just going to bring this right in here. And perfect. Now, okay, so when this is closed, this is what you're going to see. This is what I chose to use here I'm going to go ahead and put it on, and I'll work inward. And then I used another one of these large cutouts, these cards, to cover the inside. All right. And then, I rounded the corners so that when I put this in, I'm going to be rounding, I rounded the corners on this as well. I'm going to have a little bit of a gap over here, but these cards are what they are in size. Now there's a gold trim. If you haven't cut them out yet, there is a gold trim that separates the cards, so you can come in and measure that little extra. I think it's going to be about 1/4 of an inch using the gold strip, and it should continue with this pattern. But I'd already cut these, so I'm not going to worry about this. Now for this piece, from my scraps, I pulled this out. And I've got Scorpio here. And I'm just going to glue this in place. It's just a photo mat, so it's nothing special. And then here I took this little flower. Oh, you know what? I could bring that over here to help. Well, no, that's not going to look right. So I'm going to put a little thin strip of tape on this side. And I'm going to put this right here as a tuck. Now when you close this, this is the card I chose. Now there is the cards are larger, and I cut out this piece to fit in here. So you're going to be trimming this down. And there are several of these, so you can pick and choose what you want to use. I'll show you here in just a second if I can find it. So it's this sheet, and there are several of them, and this is the edge that I cut off in order for this to fit. Just like that. So you can pick and choose any one that fits your album appeal. And then you open this up and you've got a photo here, a photo here. This is also a tuck. Now down here on this bottom, we're going to have a pocket. This pocket's going to measure 6 1/8 across. Let me just double check this because, oh, that's right, 6 1/8. The reason I'm questioning it is these two panels were supposed to be the same size, but as I cut the trim for each one, these being the trim, the pocket, it didn't quite come out to be the same. One is 6 1/8 and the other one is 6. So I'm going to line my rounded corners up first and walk this over. And then I took that same piece of paper that we did the side pocket on, but I turned it this way this time. I need to round that corner. And it's going to go in here like so. And then I trimmed the wide blue piece because we're getting down to where there's not much left. So on mine, I had this pattern, and that's what I trimmed to put in here. Now, depending upon how you've been trimming, you may or may not have this. No big deal if you don't. Just go ahead and cut. This is 7/8 wide, and then I cut to fit the pattern piece to the inside. So it's probably about 3/4 of an inch. And then we'll glue this in. And this one I'm taking all the way across. And then there are those postage stamps. There's several of them. I cut this one out, and I'm just going to canter it right here. Okay, so there we go. That side is done. Let's go ahead and move over here now to the left-hand side. And this is the other piece that I used. And I'm going to tape this one in because of the magnet. Okay. Take this strip off. And then I'm going to line this up, being mindful of my hinge, so I'm watching this side, and then I'll lay it down. All right, now we're going to do another bottom pocket. This one should be the same size, 1 7/8 by 6 inches. I need to take a little drink of water. Okay, alrighty then. And this one we're going to set so that we're just right up next to that hinge, the score line. Don't want to be on it, I just want to be up next to it. And then again, this, and I forgot to ink it, so hold on here just a second. The white edge on this really, for my eye, stands out quite a bit, so I just prefer to ink. If you're not an inker, that's fine. And again, this is the remainder of the strip from over here. Same size. And then this was the other little postage stamp that I cut out. All right, so this is your inside. We've got a tuck, photo opportunities, your tuck, a big pocket, some smaller pockets. So now let's work on covering this outside. So this, I'm going to give you a choice here. This is the piece that I worked with, and I trimmed this to fit, and then you have this remaining piece. So you can leave it this way. I turned mine over. And I rounded these corners here. This would sit right in here. Now I grabbed my glue bottle, except I do need to put this down with some tape. All right. Get these things out of my way. Match up my rounded corners. Let's set this in here. Now, if you chose to use the reverse side, you can make a pocket across the bottom or leave it as it is, but you have to be mindful that you've got a magnet that's sitting dead center on this. Now, this is the reverse side. And then in your papers, you will find this balloon. I cut it out. It is, I do believe, one of the half sheets. I cut it out and I mounted it, and I'm going to set it right over this balloon. So a little bit of depth and some height. And then I took some Wink Estella and I went over the gold. Some beautiful images on these cards, these cutout cards, but I want the paper. So we just kind of ignore them. I hate covering up beautiful paper, but it is what it is. All right, now we will play with getting all of this off. I'm just a bit off camera to do this. You don't need to see me pulling paper strips off the back of foam. And besides, they stick to my fingers, and so I'm snapping my fingers to get it off. I don't want you to see me do that. Okay, so now this will just sit right over this. So you've got some nice height here. Beautiful image. You've got yourselves a small pocket tuck on both sides, a large pocket tuck here. You've got some fold out, and we can turn this over and get the big tape out. Okay, and then we're going to grab some 3/8, and we're going to do some support strips. All right. This will sit in here like so. I'm going to turn it. Now make sure I'm going to put this on right side up, not upside down. Okay, we're going to press that. Push back on this hinge, make sure it's nice and flat. And then we'll get inside and we will burnish okay. There we go. All done. We have one to go, so I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.